Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Nobles Pond Partners Spotlight Series. We're going to give folks just a few minutes to log in, so we'll start in just a moment. Welcome, everyone, to the Nobles Pond Partners Spotlight Series. We are going to give all of those who are joining us today just another moment or two to sign on, and we will begin our program momentarily. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the Nobles Pond Partners Spotlight Series, Real Estate Sales During a Pandemic. My name is Beth Haynes, and I am your program moderator for the day today, and also serve as Director of Marketing for Nobles Pond, a 55-plus lifestyle community located in Dover, Delaware. We have a few more people that are signing on, so I'm going to give folks about 1 more minute and then we'll get started. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Welcome again to all of our guests, and thank you for joining us for our Partner Spotlight Series, where Nobles Pond and the Matt Fetick team of Keller Williams Realty present real estate sales during a pandemic. My name is Beth Haynes, and I will be your moderator for the day. We're going to go ahead and get started because we have a lot to share in this 30 minutes or so. But before we begin, just a few housekeeping notes. So everyone who's joining us today is on mute for the duration of our webinar. That being said, we encourage your questions for our special guests. So using the control panel on your screen, you can submit questions. We'll also be doing some polls throughout our time together today. After our webinar is over, you'll receive a recording of this presentation, as well as follow-up information should you have questions for myself or for our special guests. We've also incorporated a special downsizing brochure from our friends at the Matt Fetick team. You can download this brochure directly from your control panel on a square that says handouts. If you prefer, you can make a note using your control panel where you ask questions. Let us know that you'd like a mailed copy, and if you provide your mailing address, we'll be sure to send that to you. So before we begin, just to make sure that you are able to submit your questions, we're going to do a test. So using your control panel and your questions box, can you please type yes or no if you can hear me okay? So using your box, if you can hear me okay, please type yes. Great, Leonard, thank you so much. Thank you, Donna, I appreciate it. Joseph, thank you so much. And Marcy, we're glad that you can hear us okay. And now you're primed and ready to ask your questions. Welcome, Elizabeth. We're glad you can join us. Well, please feel free to ask questions throughout our webinar today. We're going to hold on the questions until the very end, and we'll try and get to as many as we can within the time we have allotted. If for some reason we are not able to get to your question, do not worry. We will be making sure that we follow up with you personally to answer any questions you may have. So again, thank you for joining us today. As I shared, my name is Beth Haynes, and I serve as the Director of Marketing here at Nobles Pond. Today, I am thrilled to welcome two of our trusted realtor partners from the Matt Fetick Keller Williams Realty team. Jill Goldman, who is the Director of Sales, and Jenn Whayland. Jill has been a full-time realtor since 2008 and achieved her broker's license in both Pennsylvania and Delaware. She also maintains an active Pennsylvania law license. Jill believes that realtors owe their clients and their profession a well-rounded knowledge and deep understanding of the local market, as well as industry trends, and an understanding of the legal and financial conditions that could impact your real estate decisions. She has consistently been recognized for her sales production and has built her career in the luxury and relocation markets, primarily in the greater Philadelphia area. And you'll hear about from Jill and Jen from some of their other offices they offer as well. Jen has been a full-time realtor since 2018 and is also licensed in both Pennsylvania and Delaware, and she recently became certified in relocation. Jen's goal is to help her clients make informed real estate decisions that they are comfortable with and, most importantly, excited about. And she is committed to providing personalized service throughout the entire process. Whether buying or selling, she personally provides her clients with a full service experience from the beginning until the end of the transaction and works tirelessly to promote their best interests. Jill and Jen, welcome so much. Thank you both for joining us today. And they'll be sharing a little more about the Matt Fetick team, as well as about their experience and the current real estate market shortly. As a special thank you for all who are attending today, we'd like to invite you to an exclusive happy hour event on April 21st at Nobles Pond from 4 until 6. You can attend in person or virtually if you'd prefer. And during this time together, you can enjoy some beverages, meet some future neighbors of Nobles Pond, meet our housing consultants, and explore our model homes and our design studio. And Jill and Jen will also be on hand so you can consult with them and ask questions as you prepare to sell your home and potentially relocate. All of those who attend, again, virtually and in person, will be entered to win a gift bag filled with goodies, including a certificate for up to $1,000 towards personalization options at Nobles Pond, as well as up to $1,000 towards relocation efforts from Jill and Jen and the Keller Williams team. Be on the lookout for your special invitation, and we hope that you can join us on April 21st. Before Jill and Jen start their presentation, we want to know a little about you. So, using your control panel, can you share with us where you currently live? Do you live in Delaware, Maryland, New York, New Jersey? Maybe you live in another state. If so, using your question box, if you could write that in, we would love to know where you currently hail from. So where do you currently live? It looks like we have folks joining us from throughout and pretty even split. We have about 33% from New York and New Jersey, 33% from other. So we have Marcy from Virginia, Elizabeth from North Beach, Maryland, Leonard from New York. And we also have folks who are joining us who live in Maryland, about 11% of those joining us today. We are thrilled to have you all join us. Welcome. We're going to go ahead and close this poll out. And now I am going to turn it over to Jill and Jen to begin the presentation. So ladies, take it away.
Thank you, Beth. We're so happy to be here.
Thank you, Beth.
Really great to have such an audience from such diverse places, although I see that all of you are really, really close to Delaware. Probably the greatest thing about Delaware is how central it is in the mid-Atlantic states and what perfect conditions it is for beach going, hiking, boating, tax-free shopping. We really love Delaware, and we think that's one of the things that Nobles Pond brings to the table for you. But we wanted to talk to you about what would happen if you put your home on the market during a pandemic. We know you have questions about how easy is it to sell a home during the pandemic? Is it a good time to sell your home during the pandemic? And what are the market conditions in general for sellers right now? We will be talking about how it is probably the best seller's market that we've ever seen in recorded history. And I'm not huffing that. It's really true. The supply of homes to purchase is 50% lower or more than it was last year at this time. Interest rates are also historically low. And because the interest rates are low, the demand for homes is very high. Buyers are trying to purchase a home and lock in the rate before the rates go back up. So what we're seeing in all of the areas that you are coming from, in the areas where we are located, is that when a seller puts a home on the market, they're likely to have a very high demand from buyers. And Beth, if you could advance the slide, we would appreciate that. Thank you. So a seller's market means a lot of different things. We can't promise that every single one of these things would happen if you put your home on the market, but we can tell you that for the most part, you will see these conditions. You will receive multiple offers from buyers. The bids on your home will go over asking if we price it to gain over asking bids, and that's what we want. Because buyers are competing with each other to purchase your home, they are likely to give you very favorable conditions in the offer in addition to price. For instance, waiving inspections, minimizing your risk during the appraisal, because as I'm sure you understand, if somebody goes over the asking price, the house may not appraise. If the buyer is willing to close the gap between the appraised value and the purchase price, that removes all of the risk to you in accepting a high offer. And then in addition to that, buyers are allowing sellers to dictate terms like settlement date. Sometimes sellers are saying, listen, I'm building a new home and I'm not going to be able to move into that home for 4 months. And we are finding buyers are allowing sellers to close with a long settlement date or to rent back the home in order to stay there and minimize an interim move or storage costs. We're also seeing some buyers paying part of sellers' closing costs, maybe the transfer tax if your state has one, or part of the commissions, which sellers are typically responsible for. So as you can see, looking at this list, if you could put your home on the market right now and get multiple offers, over asking prices, waiving inspections, paying some of your closing costs, it really has never been a better time to sell a home. Now, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, and this is pulled from the greater Philadelphia area, but I have checked this in multiple states. We are all in the same multiple listing service, and I can run these numbers in all of your states and in your neighborhood. The number of listings on the market right now is more than 50% less than the number on the market at this time last year. If you look back on this chart to January of 2016, there were 12,600 and some homes on the market in just 2 counties in the Philadelphia area. And now there are less than 6,000 homes. That is less than 50% of the homes. Even last year at this time, where we still had a good inventory crunch, there were 50% more homes than there are now. This is true in every market that we looked at. Thank you, Beth. Now the average price is really the important part for a seller. It's great to get good conditions and to have somebody waive the appraisal and waive the inspections. But at the end of the day, I know what you guys are thinking, right? It's good to be a seller in this market, but I also then have to become a buyer and I need to maximize the price that I get. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Most people who've been in their homes for at least 5 years have gained more than $50,000 in equity. And looking at this chart in the greater Philadelphia area, where our home prices are high, but probably not as high as New York and New Jersey, you can see that some people have gained almost $100,000 in equity in their homes over the last 5 years. Just looking at January of 2020 and comparing it to January of 2021, the average home buyer in just 2 counties here gained $35,000 in equity in 12 months. So it's unheard of. We've never seen it like this. I have no idea if it's going to last, but I can tell you that now's a great time to be a buyer, a seller. Beth, could you please change it? And so I think the thing that we want to just really impress is that markets with high demand and low inventory command more than high prices. The thing I want to say to you guys, and listen, my house has challenges. Everybody's house has a challenge. But if you've looked at your home, or you've had a realtor come in and look at it, your children have commented that your neighbor needs to clean up the yard, or they can hear the noise from a road that used to not be as busy as it is now, or you haven't updated your bathrooms in 20 years and everybody thinks that you should, I can tell you that right now it's really not going to matter. That's how important having more inventory in the market is. So if you have a home with any of these challenges, and everyone does, if you put your home on the market right now, you will much more easily overcome these challenges than you would have been able to do a few years ago. Thank you, Beth. Now, days on market. We know this is a big question because right now you're inviting strangers into your home during a quarantine. I know many of you have obtained a vaccine. Maybe some of you have chosen not to have a vaccine, but you still understand that people coming into your home could be coming in with any kind of medical condition. And so it's right for you to be concerned about how we could minimize the amount of traffic in your home and the number of days and weeks that you might be on the market. If you sold a home 10 years ago or 12 years ago, it's possible your home sat on the market for 10 months. That was very typical from 2008 to 2012. What I can pretty much assure you right now is that we can limit the showings on your house to probably about 48 hours, and that we're going to have offers on your home at the end of that 48 hours, and that we will have it under contract in just a few days. I know you don't believe me. It's hard to believe unless someone in your neighborhood just did it, but it's really true, and it's true everywhere. And this chart is how I can show that to you. In January of 2016, the median days on market in our area was 49 days. In 2017, it was 40. In 2020, it was 34. Right now, it's 10. In February, it was 9 days. We don't have all of March calculated yet, obviously, but I'm sure it is going to be less than 9 days. We are seeing homes go under contract. within the first couple of hours that it's on the market. And we're seeing homes start to go under contract that never even hit the market because realtors have their own buyers for the home. So this is great news for you. It means a lot of things. One is you don't have to keep it in showing condition for days and days, weeks and weeks and weeks. But it also means that we'll be able to limit the amount of people who are coming into your home right now, which I think more than ever is very important. Thanks, Beth. Now, Jen's going to talk to you about what buyers are really looking for right now. And the reason we want to raise this is without even realizing it, many of you already have these items in your home that a buyer's looking for much more than they were looking for them last year. Can you elaborate, Jen?
Sure. So with this pandemic, a lot of people are working from home. So people are looking for home offices. They're looking for personal recreational amenities like home pools and gyms, separate living quarters for extended family, outdoor spaces for outdoor living. So buyers are looking for those things, and you may have them. The ability to work remotely is a silver lining of the pandemic. So I know a lot of people are really enjoying working from home in their home offices. So they're looking for homes that have them.
Isn't it funny, Jen, that a year ago, nobody knew what the word Zoom room was? And now we hear the request for a Zoom room all the time. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it really means a home office that's quiet and well lit because people are doing their work in front of a camera now, right?
Yes, and I wish I had stock in Zoom.
And yeah, me too. So if you have a basement that you finished years ago for your kids to use as a play area or for their slumber parties and they're long gone and you're not using it, it's very likely that we can bring a stager into your home to show you how to turn that into a Zoom room or a home office or living quarters for rebound family members, children who came home during the pandemic, parents who joined their children to live with them. Not everybody had it set up 2 years ago, but right now we can turn almost anybody's bonus spaces into something that a buyer wants, right, Jen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Beth.
So something else that we take very seriously is showing your home safely during COVID. So we have a plan that we follow beyond the state requirements, and we, as Jill had said, we show your home as quickly as possible because we sell it very quickly. We will come in and turn on all the lights. We will open the doors, ensure that all showings are limited to 2 to 3 people. And we will make sure that everyone wears masks and booties, which we will also provide. We will also provide hand sanitizer and wipes so that the showing agent can wipe everything down.
And one of the other things we're asking people to do, and it sounds so simple, but it's the exact opposite of what showing instructions used to look like. We're going to ask you, the seller, to turn on all the lights, leave the closet doors and the door to the basement a little bit ajar so that once a realtor comes in through the front door with their clients, there's no longer a need for anybody to touch anything. That way, when you come back, you'll be able to just wipe down the front door, or we will come by and wipe down the front door, turn off the lights, and all of the light switches and doorknobs will have been touched by you and nobody else that day. We have these instructions in the MLS, and we found that people adhere to it very, very closely. So we just want to assure you that we are able to make it safe for you to bring strangers into your home during this market. Right, Jen?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Beth. One of the things that our team was able to do really, really well, you'll remember that a year ago in March, we suddenly got an order from the governor that businesses were closing and real estate, if it didn't completely close down, which it actually did in Pennsylvania, was very limited. No open houses were allowed. Certain people were not allowed into a home. Buyers couldn't accompany an inspector. We couldn't send photographers in certain cases. In that scenario, we had to pivot very quickly and figure out how to do our job in a virtual way. And we were really set up to do it because we have a pretty high-tech program. So within a week of the governor shutting us down in Pennsylvania, and even though we sell a lot in Delaware and Maryland, we did the same thing there, and we really thought it was very successful. We had 3D tours with floor plans and narration in almost all of the homes we were listing. We were able to put those tours onto Facebook and into emails and on our website, and we created single property websites for our properties so that buyers who were out of state and weren't allowed to cross state lines because of the pandemic or buyers who were not leaving their homes because of the pandemic, but knew they were going to have to move, were able to view a home almost as though they were in the home on the internet somewhere, websites, Facebook. We were selling homes frequently to buyers who had never actually been in the home. And some were even waiving inspections because we couldn't get inspectors into the homes. But the tours were so detailed of the condition of the home that they felt that they could. We were also having open houses and broker tours online on Facebook. It was very common for us to have 1,000 people look at a property online, where in the old days, if we had a broker's open, we might have 5 or 6 brokers come by, or an open house, we might have 6 or 7 people come by on a Sunday. We all of a sudden realized that we could channel the power of the internet to gain greater traction for our sellers. And while in-person showings and broker tours have certainly come back into the market in almost everywhere we sell and everywhere you live, for sure, we're still doing a lot of those things to gain traction. If you wanted us to virtually market your home for safety reasons and really didn't want anyone in the home, we have the tools to do it, and we've been very successful at doing it in the last 12 months. Thanks, Beth. And at this point, we're going to ask you guys what you think. Beth, I think we're going to take questions.
We are. Thank you so much, ladies, for that overview. I am going to go ahead and turn on Jen and Jill's webcam. Ladies, you may have to do it on your end, it looks like. What questions do you have now that you've heard an overview of what the market looks like from both the seller perspective and the buyer perspective? You know, those joining us, what questions do you have for Jill and for Jen? So use the control panel on your screen. They're happy to answer any questions you may have about what you heard today. And I will kick it off with a question that we actually received in advance of the webinar, ladies. For someone who is building a new home, so typically at Nobles Pond, for example, a new home takes approximately 6 months or so, depending on how much personalization our home buyer puts into that home. So knowing that the market is so good right now, and we don't know how long it will stay like that, what is the magic time frame for someone who knows that they want to buy a new house? They're going to have about 6 months. How do you advise your customers and clients in that respect?
So we really like when our clients purchase in new construction. It gives us a lot of negotiating power with the buyer. And this is what I mean by that. If we have what we call a domino settlement, where we put somebody's house on the market, and then they go out and buy somebody else's house, and the person that's selling that house is selling it because they're buying somebody else's house, and somebody anywhere in that chain suddenly gets cold feet or loses their job or just doesn't decide to sell their house for some reason, all of a sudden everything falls apart. And we've had it happen, and we're good at managing it, but it's challenging. When somebody's buying at a great organization like Nobles Pond, they're picking a house, they're putting a deposit down on the house, they're negotiating with the builder for a realistic time frame that almost always is in the range that the builder gives them. And what we're then able to do when we market their home is we're able to tell a potential buyer, look, here's the time frame my sellers need. And within a certain range, we know they're going to be in this community. It's not contingent on anybody else selling. It might be a little weather contingent, right? But we have a pretty good idea when they're going to be able to move into that house, and what we need to do with the buyer on the house for people whose homes we're listing is just negotiate with them that our sellers can either stay there and rent back from the new homeowner or get a long settlement date. Right now, believe it or not, buyers are willing to allow sellers to stay in the home under one of these conditions because it's a way to beat out the other buyers. So our advice to you would be find where you're going at Nobles Pond, what phase it's in, what delivery date it is, and you tell us and we'll take care of the rest. We can almost always make it work. It is much more challenging when you're buying somewhere that's dependent on somebody else's sale. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jill. That's great, great insights. We have a question from one of our guests who wants to know, on average, what is the closing cost responsibility for a home buyer? Does it vary drastically depending on number of variables?
This is a little bit state specific, so I'm going to give a very general answer, and then I would really encourage somebody who wants a good faith estimate on the cost of selling their home to reach out to us after the webinar, and we will do much more digging on this. We want to really give you good information, but in general, the closing costs for a seller are pretty limited. You guys might remember the last time you bought a house, you were working with a mortgage company and you were putting a certain amount down and you needed title insurance and there was an attorney involved or a title company. And then there were all these unexpected charges on the mortgage paperwork. It never has anything to do with the realtor, but there's always a lot of surprises in the industry when you're mortgaging a house. For the sellers, I can say it's pretty finite. You're typically paying the commission for the buyer and the seller, and you usually have some kind of transfer tax that's due to your local county or municipality. Typically, buyers and sellers split that tax, but you do have to pay a portion of it. And that's really it. There might be a $35 wiring fee for the buyer's mortgage company to send some of the buyer funds that you're getting to your mortgage company to pay off your mortgage. And there might be some notary charges, but typically speaking, it is a percentage of the sale that includes the commission that you negotiate and the transfer tax that's required. Does that make sense?
That's very helpful. Thank you, Jill. And our final question, and if you guys have any other questions for Jill and Jen that we don't get to, because I know we are at 2:30, keep those questions coming. You will also receive Jill and Jen's contact information as well as the contact information for Nobles Pond. And the ladies are more than happy to answer any questions you may have. But Jill and Jen, the final question that we received is, where does someone begin? What do they need to bring to you when they know that they want to sell their home? What do you need to make it to start the process?
Isn't that a great question?
It's a great question.
That is a great question. Do you want to start?
Yes, so they need to get in touch with us. We'll come out, we'll take a look at the house, we'll talk to you about your wants and needs, and then we'll talk to you about anything that we see in the house that might need to be taken care of. And
then we'll talk to you about where you're going. Because once we know where you're going and what your expected time frame is, it's much easier for us to back into a schedule of things that we can do to help you move. What we typically see when people are moving right now is it's not so much that we need a lot of renovating and staging and painting. The market's so great, buyers are going to buy your house even if you don't do that. We are pretty good at estimating if you do a little bit of this, will you get more money? Is it really worth it? Do you have the time to do it? We have contractors we can recommend to you who will give a discount to our clients. They are always insured and bonded, so that's something we feel comfortable knowing when we recommend them to you. We have packers and organizers who can help you get the ball rolling. It's really important sometimes to have somebody help you with the downsizing. We talk a little bit more about this in the guide that you are able to access through the webinar, or that we can mail or email to you if you ask us to do it. But it's great to have a consultant who specializes in this come in. Again, we pay the consulting fee for them to meet with you, and then they would give you a discount if you decide to hire them. And lastly, if we feel your house would benefit from some staging, only because typically someone buying your home is a young buyer, then we can make it look a little bit more like we always say a Pottery Barn catalog or a contemporary home. We have someone who does that at a discount for our clients, but it really may be that we just need to get your house on the market, and the only thing we typically need to manage is the time frame for where you're going. And Jen mentioned that we love to come out and see your house. It is really easiest for us to tell you what you can get for your home when we've seen the features and amenities. But if you are not comfortable having us come in your homes right now, then we are more than happy to do this through a technology like the one that we're using right now. And we're pretty effective at doing that as well.
right, so I would say the number one most important thing is get in touch with us. We can have a phone call, we can have a meeting, whatever you would like, and then we could take it from there.
And if you guys are looking for a fun happy hour and you're willing to meet us in person, we'll be at Nobles Pond on April 21st from 4 to 6 for the happy hour that Beth mentioned. There it is on the screen. We are providing some of the refreshments, and we are hosting the event with Nobles Pond, and we are also offering some of the prizes in the drawing. So we'd love to meet you, and if you're in a state that we aren't currently licensed in, we want you to know that our team has referral partners and expansion team members in almost all of the states that you mentioned. Jen and I are both going to be licensed in Maryland. So please do reach out to us. We'll get the ball rolling no matter where you are, okay? Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill and Jen, so much. You are our trusted real estate partners from the Matt Fetick team. We can't thank you enough. I think definitely the word today is that this is a great market. It's a great time if you're thinking about selling your home. There are so many professionals like Jill and Jen who can help you in that effort. And we certainly at Nobles Pond would love to welcome you to your dream home as well. So as the ladies shared, please be sure to be on the lookout for your special invitation to our attendee happy hour on the 21st. We hope to see you there. We can also schedule Zoom meetings if that would be easier from a travel standpoint, where you can consult with Jill and Jen. You can meet with our housing consultants and learn a little more about Nobles Pond, and you can enter for all of those goodies. And we just can't thank you all enough for joining us. You will be receiving a recording of this session shortly, as well as the contact information for Jill and Jen. And don't forget to download that handout from your control panel. And if you'd like one mailed or emailed, as they shared, let us know. We'll make sure you get it. So ladies, thank you so much. To those of you who are joining us today, we are so glad that you were with us for our inaugural Partner Spotlight Series with Nobles Pond and the Matt Fetick team. Thank you, everyone. Have a great, great day.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.